In section 12.2, we are going to annotate and perform rhythms involving 16th notes and also, in fact, 16th rests and dotted 8th notes and dotted 8th rests. But before we get to the process of annotating these rhythms, I just wanted to bring back that metaphor of the ruler, because understanding why we have these counting systems is really crucial to being able to choose the correct counting system given a piece of music. So I'm just going to go to a blank page here, and I'm going to categorize the rhythms that we have covered up through this point, up through the current chapter, as either easy, medium, or hard. Now, in the easy rhythms category, we have just notes like this: the whole note, the half note, and the quarter note. Whole note, of course, is worth 4, 2 for the half note, 1 for the quarter note. So nice, easy values, right? These are the 3 notes that we learned at the very beginning. Now, if you have a medium difficulty rhythm, you're going to involve things like the 8th note and perhaps the dotted quarter note. What values do they have? 0.5, 1.5, things like that. Now, on the hard, in the hard category, we've got notes like this, our newly learned 16th note, and perhaps also things like the dotted 8th note. The 16th note, as you know, has 0.25. The dotted 8th note is worth 0.75. So let's go back up to the easy category. If you just have these notes here, then when you are counting, let's imagine we've got a measure in 4/4. It is enough just to count the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just need to be precise to the level of 1 beat, because everything is nice, even whole numbers here. Not even, I should say, but certainly whole numbers. Now, when you go down to the medium level of difficulty, yeah, you still need to have a 1, a 2, and a 3, and a 4 in your hypothetical 4/4 measure. But because we've got these values here, it's no longer good enough just to count 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to demarcate the halfway points in between beats, and that ruler, of course, continues indefinitely. So we need to divide it up. We need to know where exactly is halfway between 1 and 2, or halfway between 2 and 3. So this is why we use those ands when we are counting out syllables for our medium difficulty rhythms. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, as you can probably see where this is going, when we get to hard rhythms, so we're still going to keep our 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, if we were in 4/4, if we were in 3/4 or something else, we would count just a 3 or just a 2 if we were in 2/4. But given these rhythms here, it's no longer good enough to just count the ands, right? We need to be even more precise in this category. So we need to figure out where all of those quarter of a way points are between 1 and 2, or between 3 and 4, or wherever you like. So we're going to use this ruler, which is much more precise than the other rulers. So 1E and is what we're going to use as our syllables. 2E and 3E and 4E, and of course we can just sort of continue with that. So the upshot is, when you are dissecting rhythms in this chapter, yes, I'm going to give you a lot of practice with this system, because that's the new one. But when you go to the exercise book and when you deal with any music that you're working on your own, make sure just to pick the counting system that is appropriate for the notes that you see on the page. If you can get by with the easy counting system with just these types of notes, great, go for it. No need to make it more complicated than it should be. If you do have these kinds of notes, then you're going to need the medium kind of counting system. And if you deal with these notes regularly, you're going to need the hard counting system. And what I recommend is stick with one counting system for an entire example or an entire piece. That way it's easier to remain steady. So in the next video, we will then we'll show you how to annotate all of these rhythms given that new counting system.